What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Mon TV. On today's episode, we're going to be making some progress on our new E82 1M clone build. So I believe we have some footage previous of this, of the chassis kind of getting stripped down and gutting out what was left of the chassis. But tonight I've been working on this S55 engine we've had for quite some time. I've broken the engine down a bit further, things like intake, injectors, fuel rail, alternator, starter, wiring harness has been removed just to make things easier and less things to damage when we're kind of mocking things up in the 1 series. I was going to break the engine completely down, but then I was like, you know what, before I completely break it down, we should test fit and make sure that the S55 actually does just bolt right in, which I think it does. There's some 3-bolt motor mounts that are for the F series chassis. We'll have to get those removed. As you can see here, this is an E series motor mount or subframe, and there's only 2 holes for the actual motor mount and 1 locating pin. We do have, fortunately, some motor mounts just sitting here with our chassis. Just so happened to be the way the previous owner removed the engine was leaving the motor mounts in like that, which is honestly the harder way, but nonetheless, this is how they did it, and it's going to be great for us because all we got to do is just drop the engine right on those 2 studs. So we're going to test fit this engine now. First thing before I do that is going to remove this core support we previously just installed for mock-up reasons, just to make sure everything was nice and straight, which it is. We're going to go ahead, get this guy removed. Sorry if it's a little dark for these next couple shots, but anyways, just a couple bolts holding this thing on. We'll rip this off. And then we're just going to shove the motor in right through the front. So I'm going to set the camera down and get to it. Next thing is going to be getting this engine on the engine hoist, getting it over there and knocking those 2 nuts off the motor mounts and slamming the engine in there and seeing what happens. So yeah, let's find a belt or a strap. It looks like we got one on this, this other engine here. Going to find a good strap to use. And yeah, the shop is a mess. We've just been so many big jobs, but get this thing up on the hoist and get it in there. I'm excited to see if it fits. It really should fit. There's really no difference between this and an N55, which these cars came with, as well as the N54 is very similar. From what I can tell, the motor mounts seem to be about the same width between the N54 and the S55. All right, guys, I just pulled the S55 out so that I can actually work on this motor mount here and replace it for the N55 E chassis motor mount, which, as you'll see, is just slightly longer, which should make up the difference to get this motor perched up on both those motor mounts there. So let's go ahead. All right, guys, well, unfortunately, it's not going to be as straightforward as I had hoped. Obviously, these engines being sister engines are quite similar, but the big difference I'm realizing now lies in the oil pump pan section. The N55 is quite a bit shorter in the pan section than the S55 is, and that's actually causing a couple issues. One, the engine's sitting a little high. It's actually sitting on the steering rack. The other issue is the mounts themselves aren't going to just work perfectly because as you can see, hopefully there, we're quite far away from the motor mount itself. So S55 in the 1 series, it honestly would fit pretty well if we could get it down a little lower, which there's a few things we can probably do. One, the motor's probably got to move this way a bit, which should actually maybe give us the room we need. And I don't know that it's possible, but maybe switching to an electric power steering rack or something like that. Not 100% sure that'll give us more room. To be honest, the motor is definitely sitting to the right, so maybe just getting it centered perfectly in the car. The next thing is probably going to be trying N54, which I don't know that this will work either, but N54 engine mount brackets on the S55 engine. Now, we may have some clearance issues when it comes to the turbo and some other things, so this may not be possible. We may have to just modify our motor mount brackets or the subframe. That's something we'll have to figure out. I may also just test fit the B58 in this car, just to see if she'll work. Now, thinking that this is F2 chassis and this is E9X chassis or E chassis stuff, there may be some other motor mount brackets from an N55 that I could probably buy and make this all work, and that may be the thing to do. That is something I will have to kind of look into in the coming days here, but something I've been thinking about. I was really hoping it would just drop right in. Unfortunately, it's not going to be just a direct drop in. Here in front of us, we have a M3 E9X or 1M rear subframe complete. I actually purchased a subframe separately and was going to build one. I have some new arms and stuff that I picked up with it as well, but decided it was more cost effective just to get a complete one. I got a really good deal on this one here. So we're going to be swapping out a few things like the sway bar. We're going to be doing diff bushings, solid diff bushings, solid subframe bushings while we're in here. We're also going to be doing the monoball conversion on the knuckle end and replacing the inner pivot here on the lower arm, as well as the lower arm with fall line lower arms. We'll make sure to service the diff, and then we'll go ahead and install that in our E8X chassis. But in the meantime, we're actually kind of robbing some parts off my E92 M3 because we are going to be selling this car soon. I've had this car for over 6 years and it's just been the longest car in the fleet. So we did steal the lowering springs off of it for now, just to mock this thing up and make it look better, or just sell them regardless. I was actually going to do a subframe swap and put stock diff bushings and everything back into this car, but after kind of looking at it, we decided, you know, the little cost of buying new parts is not worth you know, taking this car apart. We were looking to get sponsors and stuff, but I'm just so impatient. I've been waiting for sponsors to sponsor the build, but it's just taking a while, and I really just want to get moving on the car. So we're going to take some stuff that we already have. We already have a sway bar on this car, so we're going to be taking the sway bar off of it. We just put some new TRW front thrust arms on the car. We took our very low mileage, these have like 10,000 miles on them, Turner monoball front forward thrust arms off, which were new arms just a bit ago. We do have brand new lower control arms to go with those. So the front end is going to be complete, like I said before as well. We also have F80 M3 knuckles here. So these are from an F80 M3 so that we can bolt on our F80 M3 front brakes, because we're going to be actually stealing the brakes off of this car. Little heads up here. But the car is going to receive F80 M3 blue brakes to begin with. Maybe down the road we'll do some APs, but to start, I think that's going to be a nice, you know, easy thing to do since we already have them, and I'm looking to upgrade the M2, so stay tuned for that as well. But nonetheless, let's go ahead, let's get these stock non-M3 control arms off the car, the non-M3 knuckles off the car, and I'm actually looking at the struts thinking that they might be too narrow, but we'll find out here in a bit. So that's what we got to do. Let's get her done. All right, guys, the camera did die, unfortunately, but we did get the F80 knuckles on and the new E9X M3 control arms on, as well as our slightly used H&R sway bar, which will give a final wipe down long before we final assemble this thing. The whole chassis will be needing a good spray down, so don't be worrying about that just now. We will also be doing a bunch of body work, which is going to make everything super, super dirty. But currently I am removing the stock 335i or 135i subframe in exchange for this M3 one before we do this M3 install, though we're going to be installing a bunch of upgrades. I haven't had the chance yet to modify that, but we will be doing that shortly. Currently, the main objective is assessing all of these evap lines and this whole box here. This is actually different on a 1M, this whole basically battery box and some of these evap lines. So I'm going to assess tonight whether or not I actually need them or not. We have looked at some photos. We're going to compare. I feel like I probably will end up doing it. It's a completely different box, and that allows for the exhaust to be routed to both sides instead of just the left-hand side. So we're going to go ahead, get the subframe down, and we'll worry about that in a bit. All right, guys, we are currently pulling the sunroof out of the car so that we can start cutting into the roof, and mainly actually I think we're going to start with the quarter panels here. As you guys can see here, she's hanging down pretty good. Yeah, you'll definitely probably need my help to support it while you get that last couple bolts. As you guys can see, the whole car is stripped, so finally time to do the last bit of work. We'll probably end up pulling the dash out of the car as well, so we can go ahead and fit the cage to the car, get the front windshield. They do have these drains here, guys, which we're going to be taking all of this stuff out. All these rubber drains that actually drain out of every corner. We're going to be deleting all of that stuff because we don't need it. We'll be plugging those holes. You can see here going through the chassis just to make sure there is nothing leaking through there. And next thing is to get this glass out of here. Start cutting in these inner quarters. I literally might just like... first thing for sure though is going to be starting on this driver's side because that is the damaged side. I do want to see how bad the damage is. So yeah, guys, let's get to it. All right, guys, the boys from First Call Auto Glass are here, right down the street from the shop here in Oceanside, California. They're going to be pulling the glass out of this thing, getting it ready for the next stages of cutting these quarter panels out so that we can continue to drill the spot welds around the window here. All right, guys, we went ahead and pulled the trim out so we can get these quarter glasses. The boys are working quick. They've been here for about 30 seconds. They've already got the wire strung around the window. As you can see here, we're gonna go ahead and look at that. Just uses the screw gun to cut all the way through the seal. That is really cool, actually. All right, guys, these guys are working fast. We got to pop this thing off for you real quick before you get too far. I'll pop it off real quick. I just can't believe you already got the freaking rear windshield and the quarter glass out. I'm like, it's been 30 seconds, guys. Like, slow down. Yeah, there's no way to really do it without busting that clip, huh?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Those clips are...
All right, guys, there's 2 quarter glasses. Now we can start working on these spot welds all the way up the back here, into the roof and around the window. It's gonna be fun to drill all these. Not to mention we're cutting these quarters off, so it really doesn't matter. All right, guys, real quick, to get the front windshield out, we got to pull this front cowling, and the wipers are in the way to do that. So we'll get that off real quick for them, and then they're gonna pull this front glass. First Call Auto Glass, you guys just seen it firsthand. These guys are freaking masters. Make sure to check them out. We'll drop the link down below to their website and schedule your next appointment with them to get your windshield or any glass for that matter replaced. These guys are definitely really good at what they do. They've been here for not very long, and they've made quick work of this. All right, guys, all of the glass is out of the car. I'm super stoked now that we can start working on these quarter panels, start cutting in everything a little bit deeper, and get these quarter panels replaced with some factory 1M units. They were nice enough to trim all of the glue for me so that there's less to deal with when it comes time to paint. We'll want to clean that up real good for the painter, but that's down the road. Next step actually is probably going to be to start getting this dash out because there's no need for it to be in there. And yeah, it'll just make things easier when it comes time to start working on the cage. Came out so quick. I was honestly expecting these to be kind of a pain in the butt, but they really weren't. Rear and front glass I figured was easy for them, which proved to be true. So all right, guys, we're finally working on this E9X M3 rear subframe. Today we're going to try and get some components swapped out for some new ones. So this sway bar has got to go. We're going to put an H&R sway bar in. We've got new upper and lower camber arms, which we may change in the future, but we just had these brand new ones laying around, so we're going to throw them on for now. We're going to be doing the lower camber arm and the lower traction arm with some fall line units, and probably giving this thing a nice power wash. We're also going to be doing solid diff bushings, solid subframe bushings, so stay tuned. Eddie's going to get to work on this thing. I'm going to set this camera up and just time lapse it, and we'll let you guys see what we do here. All right guys, so we got the new camber arms, upper camber arms on, torque to 100 Newton meters on both sides. We're gonna go ahead and start working on these subframe bushings. That's next, and then we'll get these diff bushings. We gotta do this lower forward inner pivot. We're also gonna change all the pivots here, like the lower pivot, and this toe arm is gonna be changed for like an SPL unit with a lockout arm, which we don't have yet. We do need to order some SPL end links and toe arms, and that will kind of be the first iteration of suspension mods. I'm tempted to honestly send this whole subframe out to get powder coated. We'll see here what we do. Anyhow, let's get to it. All right guys, Eddie's been working hard on the subframe. He's already got the new upper camber arms on. He also did pop out the diff bushings so that we can install our solid subframe bushings. My bad, I said diff bushings, but I meant he already popped out the subframe bushings. So all 4 corners are popped out. He's currently working on the diff bushings. As you can see, we just melt out the center slugs, which makes it much easier to crush, or it releases the tension on the outer sleeve, which then they just hammer out pretty easily. These you should actually be able to just pop out the sleeves while they're going now. The last thing to do is do this rear diff bushing, which is foam and pops out very easily. Then we'll move to these lower inner pivots here. And I'm gonna also do all of the ball joints on the knuckle side. I've got some brand new Lemforder OEM units. We will be changing this forward inner pivot as well. So there will be no more bushing in the rear except for on these upper camber arms, which are brand new bushes. We will eventually either be changing these out for some FPL units, or we will be doing a factory Lemforder ball joint with a little taper washer, which you can get online as well. So haven't decided yet what I'm gonna do there, but that's most likely what we're gonna do. Anyhow, we're gonna go ahead, hammer these sleeves out. As you can see, they're burning away, and get these solid bushings installed. All right guys, we're working back on the E82 M3 rear subframe, or 1M rear subframe, whatever you want to consider this. We're gonna go ahead and get these lower camber arm bushings out of the way, get the new monoballs installed. We're also gonna be replacing the outer factory ball joints as well, and installing one here where the bushing was. We do have some SPL adjustable toe arms that we're gonna be installing, solid subframe bushings and solid diff bushings, which will get installed here shortly. We may give this thing a quick coat of black spray paint and yeah, put her back in the car. So without further ado, let's get that stuff done. All right guys, we got the big snap-on press tool on here. We just found a cup that fits inside of this thing. Damn, it's a little crooked, but guys, let's check it out. Let's see, she's almost there. Paint is making a mess. We're gonna have to find a little cup because this thing's hitting the bottom side here. So we've got it most of the way in. It's gonna be too tall. All right guys, now that all the subframe bushings are in, we're gonna work on the diff bushings. All right guys, we've got the rear bushing, which is actually a Delrin bushing, and it shows them just hammering on the bushing itself. So I'm gonna try and just tap this bad boy in. You wanna hold that?
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Not bad, guys, not bad. Just double check the directions. I think that's it, guys. Yeah, it's perfect. Perfection. All the diff and subframe bushings are in. Huge shout out to ECS Turner for sending us these. Super stoked. We have them in our other E92 M3, but this is gonna be a huge addition to the 1M build. So let's keep getting on with it. We've got the rear lower inner pivot monoballs to install. And then we've got some fresh monoballs to install in the outers, some fall line rear lower camber arms, and some fall line traction arms. And then this thing will be put together, all solid. All right guys, I've tapped the other Millway monoball rear lower inner pivot in to get it started. We'll go ahead and use this cup here on the back side, which has some room for it to come through, which it doesn't really need, and push this bad boy in flush, just as we've done here. go ahead and do this. If you liked this video, be sure to check out the next one, and if you haven't subscribed yet, be sure to subscribe and like the video. It helps a lot. Thanks, and see you in the next one.